Chapter 41. Miss Morong, you are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Little Fox, I allow you to say one more word. I'm asking you. Who in this hall has the best future? Chen Chen asked with a disappointed expression. You. The demon fox lowered its voice and replied. When it spit out the word, the hand on its neck loosened slightly. You have good taste. You may be a demon, but not a dishonest one. Chen Chen loosened his hand completely, his smile bright. After a moment, Zhang Ji walked up with an exquisite kettle, and the service staff of Spring Breeze Pavilion also began to serve dishes. A banquet costing 2,000 taels was really extraordinary. Zhang Ji was stunned to see how elaborate all of the dishes were. Even Chen Chen marveled in his heart. He had never seen a banquet of this level, even in his previous life. The purchasing power of 2,000 taels in this world was likely the same as several million in his previous life. He would shake if he saw a banquet costing a couple of million in his previous life. As time went by, those who were kissing up were almost done, and they began to eat on their own. Miss Morong also showed a relaxed expression. At this moment, the downstairs of Spring Breeze Pavilion became noisy. Chen Chen looked and saw that a huge stage was being built downstairs. Some animals like tigers and bears were put into cages and carried onto the stage. Is this a circus? Chen Chen's eyes lit up and he looked interested. To be honest, there were too few entertainment activities in this Xianxia world. In Stone Village, he just played with mud. High-end entertainment like a circus was unheard of to kids in Stone Village. Seeing people in Blue Wind City coming toward here, the gentlemen and gentlewomen in the hall gathered by the railings and talked about them. My lady, see that puppy that man's holding. So adorable. Yes, it's cute, but I don't think it's a dog, it looks like a fox to me. On the other side, Miss Morong and her maid, who were being kissed up to, looked toward Chen Chen. At the same time, they noticed the demon fox in Chen Chen's arms. This Miss Morong is pretty knowledgeable. Hearing her words, Chen Chen praised her in his mind. Out of so many people, finally one of them could see that he was holding a fox instead of a dog. However, what he didn't expect was that the service staff who had spoken to him before quickly corrected them. Miss Morong, that's not quite accurate. This guest is holding an Accra Israel holy dog, it's very precious. What a talent. Chen Chen muttered. He almost forgot the name he had made up earlier, but the waiter actually remembered it verbatim. Before he stopped mumbling, those suitors went toward him like sharks who had scented blood. Sir, I'm willing to buy your dog for 1,000 taels. To offer to Miss Morong. I can pay 2,000 taels. 5,000 taels. 10,000 taels. As all the gentlemen were bidding, Miss Morong's maid couldn't help but sneer at this, showing a sly smile. Her young lady was the pride of heaven. All the young men in the hall were circling her young lady, except for this group, who seemed indifferent. It really frustrated her. Now, this group should realize her young lady's charm, right? Pang. At this moment, Chen Chen slapped the table fiercely and stood up. He glared at everyone. What do you mean by bidding in front of me? Do I look like someone who needs money? Everyone was silent. It took a long time for someone to say, Sir, since you are not short of money, why don't you give this dog to Miss Morong? Why should I give away my pet? Chen Chen's face was filled with confusion. Everyone was speechless after they heard the words. They had tried their best to please Miss Morong, and got nowhere. The kid clearly had a way, but he couldn't bear to part with a dog. Comparisons were so exasperating. But after all, it wasn't on their own territory. Seeing that Chen Chen was unwilling, these gentlemen did not want to force it, otherwise they would leave a bad impression in front of Miss Morong, and it wouldn't be worth it. Just as everyone was about to say something to ease the embarrassment, a constable in uniform suddenly rushed upstairs. Dear gentlemen, there is news from the city guard. The 7 princes who went to G State 2 days ago, a group of 200 people, disappeared for no reason when passing through Black Ox Hill. NV. If any of you want to go to G State, best find a different route, and the more travelers the better. As soon as this was said, everyone looked at each other. No one wanted to watch the circus anymore, they all became as anxious as ants on a hot pan. A group of 200 people disappeared. What did this mean? Those people were all masters, and if all of them disappeared and none of them escaped, you would need power that was at least several times stronger. And it had to be organized and disciplined. It must be spies from the state of Zhou who had snuck into our G State, otherwise, who would have such strength? If the moles from the evil clan are here, why doesn't the Tianyun clan send people to help? Everyone talked, and the more they thought about it, the more they felt it was possible. After a while, everyone put the blame on the Tianyun clan. The Tianyun clan doesn't care about us at all. Who cares about a clan like this? There's no point in going. I'm going to go back home. Goodbye everyone. Seeing their friends leave, other people panicked, but most people still turned their eyes to Miss Murong. Compared to them, Miss Murong was a genius disciple whom Tianyun clan looked after, and there were immortal cultivators on the road protecting her, if they stayed close to her, then. Before they had decided, Miss Murong spoke up. If you are afraid, just follow me when the time comes. The Tianyun clan will not ignore everyone's safety. When everyone heard Miss Murong's promise, they were almost moved to tears. One by one they thanked her, almost kneeling down and kowtowing. Even Chen Chen had to renew his opinion of her. Looks aside, her heart was good. Why don't you thank my lady? Are you not going to the Tianyun clan? The maid who followed Miss Murong noticed Chen Chen was still watching the circus downstairs. Her expression became even more annoyed. Ha! Me and my older brother are going to the Tianyun clan, but we are taking a different route. Zhang Ji explained. Chen Chen had already planned the route to G State, that is, they chose where there were fewer people, so it was easier to find treasure. If they went with this many people, they'd find nothing on the way. HRMF, don't you follow us later? The maid propped her hands on her waist, her face full of disgust. Little Huan, stop talking. They may be our fellow clan members in the future. Miss Murong stopped her maid from continuing. But the people around them showed a different expression, because Miss Murong was talking about our clan. Did this mean that the maid could also get into the Tianyun clan? Or, has she already obtained the token of the Tianyun clan? Thinking of this, their gazes on the maid had changed completely. Among the clans, their family background was not worth mentioning. If they all entered the Tianyun clan, the maid would have the same status as them. Plus, there was her relationship with Miss Murong. The maid might have a brighter future than all of them. Chapter 42. Pursuing the alternative route. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Madam, I just despise those who intend to take advantage but don't even bother thank you. The young maid, seeing changes in the ways people look at her, immediately gains confidence. You. Zhang Ji is immediately infuriated. That maid can trash himself all she wants, but not his brother. But even before he can make a rebuttal, he's stopped by Chen Chen. Zhang Ji, why argue with a maid? You are degrading yourself. The little maid's confidence, just pumped up, was immediately flattened by Chen Chen, but she can't even give a sound rebuttal. After all, she's not officially a practitioner of the Tianyun clan, and indeed a maid. You'd better pray that you aren't going to the Tianyun clan, otherwise, expect misery from me. The little maid speaks angrily. Meanwhile, in her brain, she pictures various means of torture, including but not limited to washing toilets, washing bowls, etc. Chen Chen makes no rebuttals to her words, he only makes a smile, one without clear references. Some time later, the crowd disperses for rest in their rooms, while Chen Chen and Zhang Ji continue to slowly eat. At this time, a handsome gentleman walks close by, quietly persuading. Brother, please be sure to refrain from acting without thorough thought. When departing tomorrow, it's best to follow far behind Ms. Murong. Chen Chen's eyebrows raise upon seeing this gentleman. This is the very gentleman verified by the system as the most handsome. Brother, you may not know that the diabolism of the state of Zhou do have active spies within the region of Ji. Cutting of sources of practitioners of the Tianyun clan is their favorite activity. Sometimes, should they encounter those with good qualifications, they would go on so much as to take them back themselves. Were it not for true fear, how would we be so appeasive to Ms. Murong? Alas, in such a world, saving fame is a true risk. The handsome gentleman's face is filled with melancholy, as if having suffered from wrongdoing. Brother, you are a good man, thanks for the reminder. Chen Chen patted the gentleman's shoulder, giving him a standard praise. This folk is quite like Murong Yunlan, a good-looking, good-hearted man. Chen Chen decides that this lad should be admitted as his follower after arriving at the Tianyun clan. Someone even more handsome than him deserves this treatment. Brother, you are kidding. I may not be a good man, I just don't want you to lose your lives in vain. How should I call my brother? I am Chen Chen, and I will have a drink with you later after arriving at the Tianyun clan. I am Li Wuwei, from Feihu State. After Li Wuwei leaves, Zhang Ji looks into Chen Chen, somewhat worried. Brother, are we traveling with Ms. Murong on the main route? They are the diabolics, we aren't sure if we can fight against them. Chen Chen shakes his head as he hears this. Will any diabolics ever mobilize skilled fighters against minor targets like us? It's not worth it. Given the publicity of Murong Yunlan, he is most likely their prime target, so following him is in fact more risky. Should major fighting really break out, their practitioners will of course prioritize their defense for Murong Yunlan. Why would they care for others? Brother, your statements are so thorough. The more Zhang Ji ponders on the statement, the more agreeable he finds the statement to be. That's about what the saying, the most dangerous place is also the safest place, means. But then, Chen Chen speaks again. Should we really be up to such bad luck that we encounter those from the diabolics and can't fight against them, we will immediately beg for mercy. Given our qualifications, they likely won't kill us. Didn't that young gentleman just say that? The diabolics take people back, the worst case is we follow them back. Ha! Zhang Ji's brain has yet to make the turn. Remember, diabolism is strictly prohibited in the entirety of the state of Jing. All the practices that work are good practices. Tianyun clan never gives us any significant perks, why do we have to be devoted to it? Zhang Ji, I can assure you that, as long as you follow me, you won't lose out. Chen Chen is confident. With the system, any practices work, since he staunchly practices the dose-taking path. Meanwhile, in a village near an official road to the state of Ji, a group of men in ordinary wears discuss affairs in a house made of adobe. Have we gotten good information? Who's the one next to Murong Yunlan? We have good information, it's the father of the military supervisor of the state of Tsangming, Qi level 9. Qi level 9, well, we aren't out of chances with good arrangements. Murong Yunlan's a body of the born Yin. Should we bring her back to the defender of the law as a ding furnace, we may even be awarded foundation. Building elixir. What's the body of the born Yin? Someone asked curiously. A form of post-born character, extremely suited for practicing Yin crafts and theories. Were it not for the fact that the main craft of the Tianyun clan is Yang, I think Murong Yunlan would be accompanied by an elder sent from them. Those with special characters are so enviable. Look at us, any attempts to make breakthroughs on the status of cultivation risk lives. Alas, some things are just born with. It's rumored that the establisher of our Black Devil's clan, Lao Zhu, was born as a body of dark ghost, making practicing as easy in eating and drinking. What can others do beyond envy? After some chit-chatting, they start to arrange traps. Since they have spent much time in advance projecting for the capture of Murong Yunlan, they have made ample preparations. They have even sent some people into Murong Yunlan's team, supplying intelligence to them at all times. Before long, a new day begins. The parking lot at the Chunfeng Hall starts to fill with activities, as all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen either board wagons or ride up the horses. At this point, all their attention is on Murong Yunlan, riding a white hall. They have made their decisions that, regardless of how shameless they would look like, they would closely follow behind. Chen Chen, sitting in a bedroom in 4th floor, yawns as he looks at the scene. Alas, they just think they are so important. Should the diabolics have any plot, they won't even target these skirmishes. They are just devoid of businesses and just can't stay away from the source of trouble. You're the only good one, you're the only one that's not a skirmish. The vixen, being tied, yelled in anger. For the sake of a good night's sleep, he tied her for an entire night. To this point, she still feels weak all around. Were I to be a normal man, would you be tied like this by me? The vixen wasn't able to make a rebuttal, and could do nothing but to shut her eyes in hate. Below, Murong Yunlan seems to have noticed Chen Chen's sight, raising her head to ask. Gentlemen, are you sure you'd not like to go with us? No, practice good caution, and we'll see you at the state of G. Chen Chen says, waving his hands. Murong Yunlan says no more upon hearing this, for an unknown passer.by, one good-hearted reminder is the maximum she would do. Meanwhile, the little maid was much stunned by the fact that Chen Chen really doesn't intend to follow them. In her view, that's nearly suicidal. Let's go. Murong Yunlan makes a call and starts riding her horse towards the outside of the city. Upon her move, all the wagons in the parking lot start moving. Chen Chen can only praise the spectacular scene above the Chunfeng Hall. But, that's not the end. As soon as the wagons of Chunfeng Hall start moving, all the wagons from other restaurants in the city start moving. Soon, a stream of traffic made of hundreds of wagons form in Lanfeng City, quite like an expedition by an army. More magnificent than even fan. Chasing in the last life Chen Chen experienced. Chapter 43. Arriving in Jiizhou. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Chen Chen watched the convoy leave the city, he slowly ate breakfast, then led everyone to the parking lot. It was empty at this time, with only 3 carriages in the corner. Attentive guards were feeding the horses, looking extremely diligent. Not bad, we should tip them. Chen Chen offered praise from a distance. Zhang Ji reminded him with some embarrassment, brother, we have already spent 10,000 taels in Spring Breeze Pavilion. We are now out of money. Is that so? Chen Chen's expression stiffened, but he waved his hand after a moment. If we spent it, it's all right. Money is a cumbersome thing for us cultivators. After saying this, Chen Chen got into the carriage, fumbled around for a while, and took out something like ginger, tossing it to the guard. Looking at your complexion, it seems that you have a kidney deficiency. This Western Region Fire Dragon ginger is my gift to you. I spent a lot of energy trying to get it, but it is useless for a great man like me, who is full of masculinity. Chen Chen made up a name on the spot, but the guard was very grateful regardless. He did have some kidney deficiency and he was not strong in that aspect. Now, he was suddenly rewarded by a nobleman, so he was even happier than he would have been if he had received money as a tip. Half an hour later, the 3-horse-drawn carriages drove out of Blue Wind City. Instead of taking the wider, official road, they took a smaller path. This path passed through many deep mountains and forests and was usually full of bandits. Most people would never take this path, but Chen Chen and his group didn't mind it at all. Along the way, Chen Chen dismounted from time to time and picked up some items. Millennium Fleece Flower Root +1. Demon Spirit Fruit +10. Rock ore with Spirit Iron +1. Zhang Ji and the others had become used to seeing this, but the demon fox was shocked. Was this kid really a demon dog? Or was he the legendary treasure hunter turned into a human form? Seeing Xianxia holding a demon spirit fruit that it was coveting, the demon fox couldn't help but say, "Kid, if your talent was known to a master cultivator, I'm afraid you would be caught as a treasure hunter." Xianxia squeezed the fruit with one hand, pouring the juice on a small trumpet flower as he replied, "Well, I have you." Hearing this, the demon fox was at a loss. It couldn't care less. At that time, I will say that you have a good nose. Then I will give you up and it will be fine. No matter what, you are more like a demon dog than me, right? If they don't believe me, I'll say it takes you a while to adapt to an owner and you need plenty of training. See? It makes total sense. The demon fox was utterly baffled. Did this kid really want to exploit all of its value? How dare he even say this? System, is there anything valuable within a radius of 20 meters? There is a piece of gold or 19 meters underground. I am too lazy to dig for things like gold. As they traveled in the mountains and forests, Xianxia gathered a lot of great finds. When night came, the 3 carriages were fully loaded. Xianxia had no choice but to use some of the lower valued finds to make random dishes. Although these dishes were not very delicious, their effects were so powerful that the people in the convoy became supplemented after eating them, not needing sleep at all. The people kept traveling all night. After a few days, a huge city entered everyone's field of vision. The city wall was 50 meters high and nearly 1,000 meters long, its end hard to see. It was difficult to build such a huge city without immortals. This is Jizhou. There must be a lot of master cultivators here. I'd better hide you. While talking, Xianxia wrapped up the demon fox tightly and threw it into the carriage. The demon fox was completely used to this kind of life. Not only was it silent, it also became very cooperative. After a moment, the 3 carriages slowly entered Jizhou's city gates. As the capital of a prefecture, Jizhou was far more prosperous than Blue Wind City. In addition, today was July 31st, and tomorrow was the day when the Tianyun clan recruited disciples, so there were people everywhere in the city. When he listened carefully, everyone, without exception, was discussing the matter of the Tianyun clan accepting disciples. The Tianyun clan was the ruling clan of Jizhou and its influence in the city was apparent. This time, Xianxia did not pick the most expensive restaurant in Jizhou, but randomly found an inn. After settling matters, Xianxia and Zhang Ji sat down in a place with a great deal of people. Although Zhang Ji had gotten the token of the Tianyun clan, he still didn't know how the Tianyun clan chose their disciples. So the two of them had to find information at a busy place. There seems to be more out-of-towners in Jizhou this year than before. The people at the nearby tables happened to be discussing the matter. No, it's mainly because 2 small Jizhou clans were destroyed last year. Everyone has fewer choices, so it stands to reason that there would be more people. However, it seems that many people died on the road this year. That's true. Murong Yunlan was ambushed on the road just a few days ago. If it weren't for the immortal cultivators who were accompanying her, she wouldn't have been able to reach Jizhou at all. They protected her life. Xianxia was moved slightly after hearing this. It seemed that Miss Murong had been attacked, as expected, but had ultimately arrived in Jizhou safely. But if the cultivators who accompanied them had fought to the death, what about the huge caravan that followed? I heard that when they came to Jizhou, a large group of noblemen and ladies followed Miss Murong. After the attack, this group of people either died or were injured, and the ones with better qualifications were abducted by the demon clan. So that's why we say beauty brings trouble. If they didn't follow Miss Murong, maybe they wouldn't have found trouble. Xianxia showed no expression after hearing this. Those who were kissing up to her still ended up with nothing. How pathetic. Brothers, do you know how the Tianyun clan will recruit disciples tomorrow? Zhang Ji didn't want to hear news about Miss Murong. He was more concerned about how the Tianyun clan recruited their disciples. While he had a token of the Tianyun clan and could directly enter the clan, Chen Chen did not. He believed that Chen Chen's qualifications were good enough to enter the clan, but he still felt a little worried about it. Oh, when the time comes, the elders of the Tianyun clan will personally check your cultivating aptitudes. If you meet the requirements, they will directly accept you as disciples. If you don't meet the requirements but still have some qualifications, you will be recommended to an affiliated smaller clan. If you don't have anything, then it's goodbye. Zhang Ji released a sigh of relief when he heard those words. These kinds of rules were simple and clear. As long as the elders of the Tianyun clan were not blind, they should be able to see that his elder brother had amazing talent. As for what exactly was amazing, Zhang Ji didn't quite understand. Regardless, he was indeed amazing. Brother, tomorrow you may be famous in Jizhou. Thinking of this, Zhang Ji looked at Chen Chen expectantly. His expression was happier than if he was about to become famous himself. Chapter 44. Who are you? You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's not a good thing to gain fame. Just look at Murong Yunlan. She's famous, isn't she? So, people keep finding fault with her, Chen Chen said plaintively, seeming repulsed by the idea of getting famous. Zhang Ji brooded over what he heard, reflecting that what Chen Chen said was very true. Moments later, he shook his head with a bitter smile. Big brother. You're right about that, but with your talents, it's almost impossible to avoid fame. Chen Chen was stunned for a second, then he couldn't help but burst into laughter. He adored Zhang Ji's serious attitude. Although it seemed like he was fawning over him, Chen Chen knew that all his words came from the bottom of his heart. This absolutely delighted him. After a peaceful night of rest at the tavern, Chen Chen and Zhang Ji made their way to Jizhou City's drill ground early in the morning. This was where the military troops usually trained, but it was reserved for Tianyun clan's recruitment of pupils for the day. When Chen Chen and Zhang Ji arrived at the drill ground, thousands of people had already gathered there. Among those thousands, 2 of them were particularly eye-catching. One of them was Murong Yunlan. At that moment, she was standing quietly in the crowd, no one in the surroundings daring to go near her. In comparison to the serenity she had displayed a few days ago, she was wearing a cold, stern look at the moment, which drove people away from her. Aside from her, one other man was receiving the same treatment. He was simply standing there, with a wide vacant area around him, as though he ate humans. Who's that guy? Why is he so cool? Chen Chen asked randomly, and some people around him replied right away. He's the son of the Jizhou general. He's gotten used to killing from a young age, so there's a murderous aura about him. No one dares to go near him. Jizhou general. So his background is even cooler than Murong Yunlan's. Chen Chen mused inside. The Jizhou general was in charge of the military affairs of Jizhou, with authority that was only 1 grade lower than the Jizhou governor. As the second most powerful figure of a big state, he had greater power than the most powerful figure of a city. After some chattering with the people around them, they started to get on well. Moreover, with Chen Chen's expertise in swindling people, the men he was talking to looked as if they regretted not knowing him earlier. Right at that moment, an elderly man with white hair and beard stepped onto the massive platform above the drill ground. Silence. With that one order, the voices of the thousands of people on the drill ground were drowned out. Everyone knew the old man's identity the moment they saw him, so they shut their mouths and didn't dare to speak a word. Those of you who possess the keepsakes of Tianyun clan, come up to the stage right now, the old man went on after everyone fell silent. When he finished speaking, less than 100 people among the thousands on the drill ground moved, marching towards the platform. All of them looked proud and confident. Murong Yunlan and her servant were among them, along with the son of the Jizhou general. Big brother, I'll go first. Zhang Ji told Chen Chen, taking out the keepsake. Chen Chen gave him a look of encouragement and patted him on the shoulder, gesturing for him to go onto the stage with ease. Watching Zhang Ji's back as he left, Chen Chen let out a silent sigh. If he hadn't appeared, this dude would have been much wealthier than he was now. And the dude happened to be extremely grateful towards him too, even treating him like his own older brother. Fine, when I become the chairman in the future, I'll make him the vice chairman or something, Chen Chen comforted himself. The old man on the platform collected the keepsakes, then looked down at the drill ground once again. Those of you who have parents or elders with cultivation, come onto the stage. Right after he announced that, about another 100 or so people moved towards the stage. Cultivation talent depended on inheritance. Usually, if the parents were cultivated, they would most likely give birth to children with cultivation talent. In order to enhance efficiency, it was reasonable for the Tianyun clan's elder to call them onto the stage in that sequence. The elder inspected them intently after they got onto the stage. Eventually, only less than 50 of them left in a dejected state. More than half of the people had cultivation talents. If that ratio was applied to the people standing below the platform, it would be unimaginable. By the time he was done inspecting that group, the old man on the stage was already losing interest. Based on his past experiences, it was almost done at this point. If there were a few dozen people among the remaining thousands who qualified for cultivation, they would be fortunate enough. Having thought of that, he was ready to command the remaining people to line up and get onto the stage in the prescribed order. Before he could speak, however, an idea struck him out of nowhere and he changed his mind. If you consider yourselves extraordinarily talented, please come onto the stage. When they heard him, the thousands of people at the scene fell dead silent, not a single soul daring to budge. If they went onto the stage and got disapproved by the elder, it would be immensely embarrassing. They would probably become famous in all of Jizhou, and how were they ever supposed to face people again? Not only would they be ashamed of themselves, their actions would even embarrass their parents. However, Chen Chen wasn't bothered by it in the least bit. He wanted to get through the crowd and went on stage, but a few of the dudes who hit it off with him earlier held him back. Brother, if you're the only one that goes on stage and you've got no cultivation talents, I'm afraid you'll end up the laughingstock of Jizhou. That's right, brother. Confidence is a good thing, but there has to be at least a group of people who go on stage together, so that you can blend in without being noticed too much. Looking at the concerned looks on their faces, Chen Chen said solemnly, rest assured, guys. If I've got no cultivation talent for real, and become the laughingstock of Jizhou, just let them laugh. The path of cultivation is an adverse path in itself. It's normal to die along the way. After he finished speaking, Chen Chen shrugged off their hands resolutely and made his way towards the stage. As they stared at Chen Chen's lone, somewhat forlorn back, the looks on the guys' faces were complicated. He marches on despite the thousands of eyes on him. This guy is truly the role model of our generation. Hey, even if he really ends up as the laughingstock of Jizhou, I will not ditch this friend. Brother, what do you think? What do you mean? Do I look like a coward who huddles with benefits and shuns danger? With the few of them seeing him off, Chen Chen slowly approached the platform. Everyone on the drill ground had noticed him by now. Feeling the countless eyes pinned on him, Chen Chen flashed a placid smile and stepped on the stage. It's him. That damn brat. I can't believe he arrived safely at Jizhou. Behind the old man, Murong Yunlan's servant was surprised when she saw Chen Chen. Murong Yunlan herself looked at Chen Chen on the stage, her expression turning extremely somber, as if she had thought of something. Little Huan, he was right not to have followed us. Think of all those who were slaughtered by the demon clans. Murong Yunlan couldn't go on anymore, starting to sob. However, little Huan flashed a disdainful smile and replied, My lady, don't blame yourself for what happened. You did not force them to follow you. It was their lack of capacity and affinity with cultivation that killed them. As for this dude, he didn't follow you because he loves being special. It's got nothing to do with right or wrong. Everyone followed you, except for him, and now no one came on stage, except for him. I've seen a lot of people like him, who think that it's cool and eye-catching to do such things, when in fact, they are simply ridiculous. Big Brother will always be the Big Brother. That confidence. That aura. When will I ever become someone like him? In contrast to Murong Yunlan's reaction, Zhang Ji was exhilarated, fighting the urge to cheer. Apart from the discussions among the people on the stage, the people below were also making tons of comments about him. Who's that? How arrogant. Not even a prodigy like me dares to go on stage. What does he have? Brother, since you're a prodigy, how about you go up there? I was kidding. Don't take it too seriously. The elder on the stage was amused when he saw that someone had actually come up on stage, but his amusement vanished in an instant, replaced by extreme solemnness. Brat, who are you? He asked in a loud, bright voice, causing the entire drill ground to fall silent. Everyone yearned to know the identity of this savage guy. Faced with his inquiry, Chen Chen gave a small bow and introduced himself in a calm, placid voice. Chen Chen, from Stone Village, Sichuan County, Feiyun City, Jizhou. Chapter 45. I'm panicking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Stone Village, where is that? He's a rural villager. No wonder he doesn't know his worth. Now we have a show to watch. Thousands of people in the audience were quiet for a while, then they began to talk all at once, some of them even laughing a little. The elder of the Tianyun clan couldn't laugh, however. He could clearly see the direction of heaven and earth's ethereality at his level of cultivation. If someone had the aptitude for cultivating immortality, ethereality would not reject this person. After practicing certain exercises in the future, he would be able to introduce heaven and earth ethereality into his body. When he wanted to see whether a group of people had the aptitude for cultivating immortality, the action he took was very simple. Release some ethereality. If they had the ethereality over their head, they would be fit to cultivate immortality. Some people with good qualifications, such as Murong Yunlan, could absorb a small amount of ethereality into their body, even if they hadn't officially started practicing. But the young man in front of him. He had absorbed all of the ethereality he had released. No. To be precise, it was as if the ethereality had spontaneously poured into this young man's body, as natural as the return of various rivers to the sea. He has an innate spirit body. And not the typical kind either. There were tumultuous feelings present in the heart of the elder of the Tianyun clan. There were several types of innate spirit bodies. Due to the different ethereal properties between heaven and earth, some innate spirit bodies naturally attracted with ethereality. This kind of innate spirit body was called innate with spirit body. But this kid in front of him seemed to be accepting everything, regardless of their properties. Does he have the legendary innate spirit body called the body of origin? The elder's eyes twitched, his hands trembling slightly. The body of origin was a rare physique in the world. Forget the state of Jin, even if one considered the dozen or so surrounding countries, it had never appeared before. Legend had it that a certain true immortal possessed this physique tens of thousands of years ago, but it had never been confirmed. If this kid really had the body of origin, then it was a very shocking event. If rival clans found out about it, the Tianyun clan would be destroyed within minutes. Even clans friendly with Tianyun would not sit back and watch, especially the nation-guarding clan above them in the state of Jin. They would most likely snatch this disciple away. And then they would destroy the Tianyun clan. D***mn, I was just talking randomly. Who knew someone like this would really show up? What to do? Panic. The elder of the Tianyun clan stood there with a dazed expression, as if he was not looking at a young man, but a bloody storm. Cold sweat broke out across his forehead. What is it? Elder, are you feeling all right? Or do you think my aptitude is unfit? To tell you the truth, I am already. Chen Chen was about to mention his cultivation level, but the elder suddenly interrupted him, pretending to be calm. Not bad. Your qualification isn't bad. The elder of the Tianyun clan knew that his facial expression was a bit exaggerated at the moment. If this was seen by a mole in the clan, they would probably think something was up. If he said that this young man did not have the qualifications to cultivate immortality, and then snuck him away afterwards, it would be too much of a cover-up and the young man could potentially become a target. As soon as he said this, the audience became silent. How many people here could make the Tianyun clan elder say they have good qualifications? Probably just Miss Morone and the son of the Jizhou general. Who knew this kid would receive this kind of affirmation too? He was naturally outstanding. Thinking of this, the group began to feel jealous, their faces appearing as if they had eaten lemons. Little Huan, Miss Moron's maid, was feeling even more sour than the rest. The jealousy in her eyes was practically gushing out at the moment. For what? It's unfair. Chen Chen ignored the thousands of resentful eyes behind him and patted his chest, saying, I feel relieved now that the elder has said that. I thought I was too weak. The elder glanced at Chen Chen with faint resentment, secretly cursing him in his heart. God, the body of origin has a natural cultivation base. You are at the third level of Qi without relying on any exercises. Don't you know what kind of qualification you have? Look at the group of people here. Is anyone else like you? Elder, can I stand over there? Chen Chen ignored the elder's gaze and pointed to Zhang Ji's team, speaking with a smile. Go, the elder of the Tianyun clan said calmly, reluctantly suppressing the excitement in his heart. When Chen Chen heard this, he walked over to Zhang Ji. Big brother, you're amazing. Zhang Ji couldn't help but praise Chen Chen when he came over. His elder brother was indeed the elder brother. Even the elder of the Tianyun clan said he was amazing. This made him, his little brother, feel honored as well. It's just so. I'm not that impressive, Chen Chen waved his hand around, his face very calm. As the elder heard the conversation of the two individuals behind him, his suppressed emotions began to fluctuate once again, the corners of his eyes continuously twitching. After considering his words for a long time, he suddenly said to the thousands of people on the school field, the road of immortality is hard and far less than the glamour of the world. Are you really certain about going on this road? The people on the school field looked at each other when they heard those words, some of them not understanding what he meant by them. If they weren't certain, why would they have suffered all those hardships to come to Jizhou? Why was the elder talking nonsense? But despite the doubts in their mind, no one dared to question him out loud. The elder of the Tianyun clan spoke up again, I will give you another 5 minutes to seriously consider it. Once you get on this stage, there is no way out. After that announcement, the elder of the Tianyun clan slowly walked towards the back of the stage. When he reached a place where there was no one else present, his emotions exploded, and his old face began to twist. D***mn. What do I do? Could anyone notice how out of sorts I was? If others find out that I plan to take a body of origin back with me, I will be beaten into meat sauce halfway through. This is about the fate of the Tianyun clan, so I have to ask the clan leader. If the Tianyun clan is destroyed later, it will then be his fault. At this thought, the elder took out a special token, flicking it with his finger. This was the messenger token of their Tianyun clan, which only a few key people in their clan had. Leader, something major happened. A terrifying young man appeared among the disciples recruited this time. He is likely to be the original body. What should I do? It's very urgent. Please answer as soon as you possibly can. After writing this paragraph, the Tianyun clan elder paced back and forth, anxiously waiting for a response. After a while, the messenger token finally lit up. Is this true? You're not mistaken. There is no trace of any exercises in the kid, but he has already reached the 3rd level of Qi training. As soon as my ethereality was released, it spontaneously went into his body. Leader. As the elder wrote this out, the messenger token suddenly cracked. Seeing this, the elder became speechless. This must be because the leader was too excited and broke the token over on the other side. Seeing that the messenger token was about to be damaged, the elder did not dare talk nonsense. He quickly relayed the most critical information, explaining, "Leader, this matter is very important, and I am afraid. Could you send a few elders to meet me? If something happens, I can't handle it alone." Boom! As soon as his message was transmitted, the messenger token exploded, turning into powder. At the same time, several streams of ethereality formed words right in front of him. "Don't panic. Our Tianyun clan will all come out and meet you." Chapter 46. Storm Rising. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Meanwhile, someone silently left the crowd in the schoolyard, quickly returning to a nearby inn. In the corner of the inn's lobby, a middle-aged man in ordinary clothes was eating. On the surface, he was not different from other ordinary people in the slightest. The man who had left the schoolyard went over in his direction immediately upon seeing him. "Brother, something happened in the schoolyard just now. I think it's weird." "What's the matter? Was there some amazing disciple?" the middle-aged man asked indifferently, taking a sip of his drink while he asked. The two of them were not ordinary people, but disciples of the 13th branch of the state of Zhou Demon Clan. There were 36 branches under the state of Zhou Demon Clan, and their branch was responsible for dealing with the Tianyun clan. The two clans had fought secretly for thousands of years, and their feud could no longer be described as simple dislike. It could be said that as long as they made the other clan feel miserable, it was worth feeling the same way. They were like water and oil, never able to mix. It's hard to say. The elder of the Tianyun clan was making everyone who felt gifted go on stage, and a young man did. After this young man came on stage, the elder froze for a long time before he praised the young man as being pretty good. Upon hearing this, the middle-aged man put down his glass, his eyes showing some interest. Then, after that, he said everyone present should consider for 5 minutes whether they really wanted to embark on the road of cultivation. Then he went backstage by himself. Hearing this, the middle-aged man's eyes lit up and he muttered, "The elder of the Tianyun clan who came to Jizhou to recruit disciples this time is called Xianxia. He is not a conceited man and is all about cultivation. He is definitely not the kind of person who likes to talk nonsense and be fake." Then what could it mean? Younger brother, what was Xianxia's expression when he saw the young man? Shocked, bewildered, disbelieving. The middle-aged man slapped the table sharply when he heard this, then smiled. "Ha! That young man must have a very good aptitude for sure. Xianxia is an old fart who doesn't have the ability to be inscrutable." When he made the people present think for 5 minutes, he was probably asking for help from the Tianyun clan. If he was this anxious, the young man's aptitude was probably better than Morong Yunlan. What can we do? If the Tianyun clan really sent more elders over, we may not have enough manpower. The man seemed worried after hearing what his senior had to say. Earlier, the people in their branch in Blue Wind City tried to grab Morong Yunlan. They had failed, but they did not give up. In the past few days, all the undercover demon clan members in Jizhou were summoned to the vicinity of Jizhou City, ready for a big mission. The mission was not only to grab Morong Yunlan but also to kill whichever elder of the Tianyun clan came to Jizhou to recruit disciples. The mission was crucial because the supreme elder of the first branch of the demon clan was going to have a 1,000-year-old birthday, and he had clearly stated that he wanted a woman with a varying body as the cauldron. In order to kiss up to the first branch, they had to have an elaborate mission. No worries. The middle-aged man waved his hand, looking assured of his strategy. Our elder uncle had already made arrangements, borrowing someone from Yuzhou nearby. Together, with them, we now have the combat power of 4 elders. As long as the Tianyun clan did not send more than 3 elders, we have more than enough power to clean them up. That's good. The Tianyun clan is destined to lose this time. Brother, I will go check out the situation again. If we succeed this time, the clan leader will definitely reward us. Go. This time, we will not only capture Murong Yunlan, but take care of a few Tianyun elders too. Plus, that genius disciple. We'll really show the Tianyun clan what pain is. Haha. The middle-aged man drank another cup of liquor, a sneer present on his face. Unlike the 36 clans of the state of Jin, their 36 branches in the demon clan were much more united and often shared power with each other. So, in the rivalry between the state of Zhou and the state of Jin, their state of Zhou often had the upper hand. He didn't think about whether the Tianyun clan would send more elders at this time. It was just an event to welcome a few disciples. So, it would be another 1 or 2 elders at most. After all, no matter how talented the disciple was, he was only a disciple, not the future clan leader. At the same time, the Tianyun clan elder, Wei Xianxia, finally returned to the stage. He felt calm now. When the clan leader said everyone was coming. What did it mean? He didn't know if ordinary disciples would come, but the clan leader and a few supreme elders definitely would, and maybe the dozens of elders stationed in the clan as well. With this lineup, not only were a few spies from the demon clan not a problem, even if an entire demon clan branch came, they would have a good fight. With this thought, his smile became more beatific. When the thousands of people below the stage saw his creepy smile, many of them couldn't help but shrink their necks away from his direction. The next 100 people will now go on stage. The elder will check whether you have the qualifications to cultivate immortality. Hearing what was said, people began to take the stage, one after another. The process of checking qualifications lasted about 2 hours. In the end, only 20 out of the thousands of people in the schoolyard met the requirements of the Tianyun clan. Wei Xianxia did not show any disappointment in this regard, still showing a kind expression. He even comforted a group who had lost, which made many people grateful. Elder brother, the elders of the Tianyun clan are quite approachable. When Zhang Ji saw this scene, his affection for Wei Xianxia increased greatly. Indeed. We don't know what the atmosphere in the Tianyun clan is like. Is everyone competitive, or is it everyone just hanging out together? Chen Chen was also a little curious about his future clan. Of course, he cared the most about the Tianyun mountains, where the clan was located. How many treasures were hidden there? The land for cultivating immortality was a place full of spiritual energy, far above the typical mountains and forests they had encountered on their journey. There must be more opportunities for treasures there than the outside world. It was the kind of place where he could really use the power of the system. Well, in the future, you will be the disciples of our Tianyun clan. I hope you will practice with determination after you arrive at the clan, and do not shame the name of our clan. After the thousands of people in the schoolyard dispersed, Wei Xianxia turned his head and looked at the 200 people who had been selected. His expression was now solemn. The disciples were also very excited as they answered in unison, "Disciples will not disappoint the elder." Entry into the Tianyun clan was a huge step forward for the disciples. Even if they couldn't continue their cultivation in the future, they would still be a high-ranking official when they returned to the mortal world. Today could be said to be a life-changing day for them. Very well. Let's rest in Jizhou City today. Gather here early tomorrow morning, and then we will set off for the Tianyun clan. Wei Xianxia waved his hand and floated away. In the distant Tianyun mountains, there was an uproar at this moment. Nearly 100 figures were flying high above the clan. Elders, what is going on today? Are we going to fight the demon clan? The disciples on the ground asked in shock. I don't know, it certainly looks possible. Look, even the retreating elders have all come out. What should we do? Before all the disciples had stopped discussing the situation, the nearly 100 figures in the sky flew toward Jizhou. The momentum could be said to cover the sky and the sun. Chapter 47. What can you do? You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, Chen Chen and Zhang Ji arrived at the spot of assembly, which was agreed upon beforehand. By then, almost all of the 200 people that were chosen yesterday had gathered. All of them were traveling light, with only a few pieces of baggage, whereas Chen Chen was the only one who had brought along 3 horse carriages. Chen Chen, there's no need to bring so many things. Once we get to Tianyun clan, we will provide all that you need. Wei Xianxia couldn't help but remind him when he saw the 3 carriages crammed to the brim with stuff. Elder, my things are all great stuff, there's no way I can throw them away. By the way, I heard that all skilled cultivators have things like storage sacks or storage rings. Do you have any of those, Elder? How about lending me one? I'll return 2 to you later on. Wei Xianxia's eyes twitched when he heard what Chen Chen had just said. He turned away, pretending not to hear. The pupils around them had strange looks on their faces upon seeing what had occurred. This fellow always pretended to be close with people. How dare a mere pupil borrow stuff from the elders? More importantly, the elder did not even chastise him. This elder from the Tianyun clan seemed way too negotiable. A moment later, all the members had assembled. Wei Xianxia reckoned that the clan master would soon arrive too, so he gave them the command to depart from the city. All of them got on their horses upon receiving the command. With high spirits and great exuberance, they advanced toward Jizhou's city gates. A lot of commoners had gathered along to watch this procession, their eyes filled with envy. They knew that although this group of people were all ordinary men for now, they would return with immortality, setting them apart from the rest. Elder, why are you following me? Chen Chen fell behind the procession, staring vigilantly at Wei Xianxia, who seemed to be in close proximity to him. Brat, why would I follow you? I'm bringing up the rear. Wei Xianxia argued awkwardly. Chen Chen sped up immediately when he heard that, reaching the middle of the procession before long. Wei Xianxia almost choked on his anger when he saw his action. He was following him to make sure he could protect that brat, but he didn't even appreciate it. Outrageous. However, he still hurried forward to follow him for his own safety. He didn't have a choice. If anything untoward happened to this brat, the clan master would flay him alive. Before Chen Chen could question him again, Wei Xianxia explained on his own, it suddenly occurred to me that I'd be better able to protect all the pupils from the middle. Chen Chen grew more doubtful upon hearing those words. Out of nowhere, he asked in a soft voice, Elder, I sometimes hear cultivators talking about the concept of soul replacement. Are you people trying to replace my soul because you see that I'm talented? Soul replacement is something that only the masters of primordial spirits are capable of. There is no such master in the state of Jin right now. And where did you hear these nonsensical sayings? Wei Xianxia was laughing out of anger. Soul replacement. He wished he could do it, but he didn't have the necessary capability. Well, that makes me feel better. By the way, I have a few more doubts to raise. Their two-sided conversation filled the rest of the pupils with envy. Only the talented pupils had the privilege of chattering so merrily with the elders, even before the enrollment. If they went forth to ask questions, they would most probably be greeted with rolls. Unknowingly, they had departed from the city gates of Jizhou and stepped onto the main path. Wei Xianxia's expression now turned solemn. If they really were to be assaulted by the demon clans, it would most likely occur on the main path. Having thought of that, he was ready to have them slow down their speed. Before he could speak, however, a voice sounded in his ear. Xianxia, no worries, keep moving forward. I, the clan master, have arrived with the great elders. Today, I would like to see if the demon clans really have the guts to wreak havoc. The voice dissolved all of Wei Shanhe's concerns with the efficiency of a calming pill. At that point, he was almost worried that the demon clans weren't going to show up. Among the clouds in the sky above them, however, several people were staring down intently with somber looks on their faces. My uncles, have you ascertained it? Is the brat beside Xianxia really a body of origin? Yes, he's a body of origin. I am certain as well. Apart from body of origin, there is no other nature that I can associate with this phenomenon. The person who raised the query smiled upon hearing their responses, muttering, God bless my Tianyun clan. Clan master, which mentor should this child be assigned to? Honestly speaking, I've never had an apprentice my entire life. Senior, what do you mean you had no apprentice? Isn't the brat Wei Shanhe your apprentice? But look at me. Although I have 2 apprentices, it's not like they have great talents, and they clearly can't inherit my legacy. Do you think Wei Shanhe has great talents, then? The Tianyun clan master waved a hand before the great elders got into a fight and said, everyone, no need to fight. I'm going to take this child in as my own pupil and impart to him the top secret skills of the clan. The great elders wanted to argue further, but the Tianyun clan master sneered all of a sudden, staring down below the clouds. The demon clans really came. Humph. How foolish and reckless of them. Down below, all of them brought their horses to a halt because a gang of people had dashed out from nowhere, blocking their path. The people were clad in black, their faces indifferent, like machines that had no emotions. However, none of the horses dared to take a step forward while they were ahead. These are puppets. Wei Shanhe's pupils constricted. These turned out to be a group of corpse puppets. However, controlling puppets had never been a strong point of the 13th division of the demon clan. Hee. It's Lu Huai here, elder of the 12th division of the demon clan. I have accepted an invitation to come collect your lives. Moments later, a hunch-backed elder stepped forth from behind the puppets, shrouded in a black cloak. His voice was hoarse and eerie, sending chills down their spines. It's not like 12 training puppets and a foundation building diabolic cultivator can end my life, Wei Shanhe replied with a sneer after getting to know the person's identity. What if we were here too? A few dozen people turned up from the sides of the road, one after another. There were 4 foundation building elders among these people, and the rest were all equipped with cultivation as well. With that battle array, it seemed as if all the members of the 13th division of the demon clan who were hiding in Jizhou had been summoned here. Wei Shanhe was grinding his teeth in fury as the scene unfolded before him. If the clan master wasn't coming today, he would be doomed. Putting aside how he himself would do, the 200 newly recruited pupils would be ended right here as well. Why in the world did the demon clan send so many people? Old guy, stop pretending. There must be an elder or 2 hiding somewhere around here to come to your aid, right? The middle-aged man, who had previously devised strategies during the ambush in Jizhou, jumped forth, a smug look on his face. Before Wei Shanhe could reply, he continued with confidence, Old guy, my people noticed the way you reacted when you saw this brat the other day. If my guess is right, he definitely has some astonishing talents. Which made even you, an elder of the Tianyun clan, lose your mind for a moment. Chen put on an innocent look when the middle-aged man pointed at him. What? Was it a crime now to have talent? While choosing the pupils, you even made everyone spare you 5 minutes. You must have used that time to request aid from the Tianyun clan with the messenger token because you were afraid that something bad might happen to this extremely talented brat. And even now, you're guarding this brat closely at all times. All of those signs clearly show that this brat has phenomenal talents, those that even surpass Morong Yunlan. I wonder if what I said is right. Wei Shanhe blushed at his words. He hadn't expected others to see right through the intentions behind all of his actions. More importantly, the person was just a junior of Chi. Training level. What a shame. Talent. Chen marveled on the inside. If this person was given a BGM, he would have thought he was possessed by Detective Conan. He really qualified for a spy allocated in Ji Zhou's border. Both his observation and reasoning were absolutely splendid. So here came the question. Did the Tianyun clan really send anyone to their aid? Old guy, you thought you were so clever, but in fact, you were extremely foolish. I noticed every single thing you did. The middle-aged man flashed a sneer, the demon clan elders around him looking satisfied as well. It was a waste to leave such a talent like that in Ji Zhou to serve as a spy. Right at that moment, the middle-aged man suddenly looked up at the sky. Then he shouted, "Our people have occupied all the surrounding areas, so if the Tianyun clan were to hide, there is only one place they could be. I wonder if I'm right. Are the Tianyun clan elders hiding among the clouds?" Right as he finished speaking, everyone looked up at the sky. The next moment, a calm, placid voice reverberated through the air. "L.C, you are right, but what can you do now that I am here?" Upon hearing the voice of the clan master, the middle-aged man who was pointing at the sky and behaving arrogantly just moments ago went weak. He nearly collapsed on the ground, as though he was struck by a bolt of lightning. Even the demon clan elders around him turned horribly pale. Chapter 48. Thank you, Master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tianyun Clan Master, Xiao Wuyo. What? What are you doing here? The middle-aged man asked, shivering. From what he knew, it was terrifying enough to have 2 or 3 elders around. Yet, it turned out that the Tianyun Clan Master had arrived in person. What kind of concept was that? If he had known this earlier, he would never have planned on hurting this new batch of pupils. The Tianyun Clan Master was an expert of the elixir-forming stage and was as powerful as their division master. It would be useless to bring even 50 elders, let alone 5. Huh, you're pretty smart. You could actually predict our location. The great elders leisurely appeared from among the clouds as well, looking at the middle-aged man with amusement. The middle-aged little Conan had only one thought left in mind. This is it. The end of my life. But something occurred to him as he pondered over it. He turned to look at Chen, who was standing beside Xianxia, his eyes full of horror. You are. Before he could finish speaking, a bolt of lightning plummeted down from the heavens and struck him right on the head. In the blink of an eye, the middle-aged little Conan was reduced to ashes. The demon clan elders, who had looked grim just a few moments ago, were now panicking terribly. They wanted to run for their lives, but much to their shock, they couldn't move their feet at all. Xiao Wuyo, don't you find it embarrassing to come receive the new pupils in person, especially as the clan master? One of the demon clan elders was full of anger and sorrow as he looked at Xiao Wuyo, who was suspended high in the air. The elders were getting along amongst themselves, yet the opponent called upon their big parent without even notifying them. They obviously weren't playing by the rules. Xiao Wuyo, the 12th division of our demon clan has nothing to do with your Tianyun clan. I'll leave first. Elder Lu Huai, who was in charge of the puppets, gave a stiff remark and took off running right after. Right at that moment, however, a bolt of lightning descended from the sky and struck him on the head. Ah! Xiao Wuyo, how dare you attack us juniors? How shameless of you! Lu Huai shrieked in agony, gathering all 12 of the puppets above his head. A bolt struck down from the blue and Lu Huai vanished alongside the puppets, leaving only a pile of ashes behind. Ignorant, Xiao Wuyo remarked as he shook his head, looking towards the rest. Everyone from the demon clan was in despair after having witnessed what just happened. The demon clan elder in the lead looked towards Chen with resentment, and remarked in a furious voice, "Brat, what talents do you really have, which made the Tianyun clan master come to receive you in person. Could you be an innate spirit body? Upon hearing his words, the pupils all around Chen Chen put on strange looks, but no one said a word. A streak of rage flickered across Xiao Wuyo's eyes as he saw that, shortly after, a sword shimmering with lightning materialized in front of him. The division master will avenge us, the demon clan people cried in rage the moment they saw the sword. Before they could finish talking, the sword fell abruptly and thrust into the ground. An extremely horrendous force quickly spread, forming an impulse wave. Bang! 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 A series of explosions reverberated through the air. All of the people from the demon clan, including the elders, turned into a surge of blood mist. Amazing! Absolutely amazing! Chen Chen's eyes were shining. His little balls of fire were like throwing stones at people in comparison to what the master just did, bombarding the enemies like a cannon. I guess they were right when they said that immortals could move the mountains and fill the seas. In the future, I'm going to be even greater than this. While being envious, Chen Chen also made a mental note to cultivate properly. Not only would he make his parents immortals, he would also become unrivaled. Most of the recruited pupils were having the same thought at that moment, their eyes filled with anticipation for the path of cultivation. I've wanted to keep you as training tools for the pupils of my Tianyun clan, but I don't think there's still a need now, Xiao Wuyo muttered as he looked at the blood mist all over the ground, then cast a subtle glance at Chen Chen. Chen Chen felt as if he had gone through an electric shock when the glance fell upon him and couldn't help but shudder. Right at that moment, a big group of people flew over from the sky in the distance, slowly landing in front of the new pupils. These were all elders of the Tianyun clan, cultivators with foundation.building status or above. The issue has been dealt with. You should bring these pupils back to Tianyun clan, Xiao Wuyo ordered them when he met the group of elders. Each of the elders took hold of 2 pupils and took flight without saying another word. Before long, nearly 200 pupils had taken off into the sky. Chen Chen was left behind with his 3 carriages, standing all by himself on his spot. Even Zhang Ji had been brought away. Xiao Wuyo pointed at the long sword that he just used, and the sword spurted to a height of 7 or 8 meters and more than 2 meters in width in an instant. Xiao Wuyo then trod onto the sword and turned to look at Chen Chen. Chen Chen knew what he meant, but he looked towards his 3 carriages instead, his face full of reluctance. Xiao Wuyo chortled softly at that and tossed a ring to Chen Chen. Instill the ring with spirituality. Chen Chen took the ring and complied with Xiao Wuyo's order. Very soon, he sensed the space hidden in the ring. Upon rough estimation, it was about 100 cubic meters in volume. So there really is such a thing as a storage ring. It'll be so much easier to go on scavenging from now on. Chen Chen almost shed tears of joy. The clan master was such a kind man, to give him something so precious at their first meeting. It can't keep living things, Xiao Wuyo reminded him. Chen Chen nodded in acknowledgement and started packing the items in the carriages to move into the storage ring. Before long, all that was left in his hands were just Wuxia and the little morning glory. At that moment, Wuxia kept herself completely still, as if she was a plant like the little morning glory. She dared not move, fearing that Xiao Wuyo might notice her. Devils, like foxes, are cunning in nature. They are not good for rearing. But the more you fear something, the more likely it is that it would happen. The first thing Xiao Wuyo said was enough to make her shiver terribly. No worries, she appears to be a fox, but in fact, she's a dog deep inside, Chen Chen replied with a smile, then stepped onto the humongous sword. Wuxia was overwhelmed with mixed feelings upon hearing his words. At this moment, she really wished she was a dog demon, the very loyal kind. Xiao Wuyo did not say anything in return. He simply turned to look ahead. The next moment, the giant sword began to soar, shooting towards the faraway distance. In contrast to the people hauled off by the elders, flying on a sword was undoubtedly much cooler. On the giant sword, Xiao Wuyo stared ahead into the distance, asking placidly, "Chen Chen, you were born in an ordinary village, right?" "Yes, wasn't I, stone village of Sichuan County, with less than 100 villagers in total. In order to have me, I suppose we have used up 1,000 years' worth of luck. Now the whole village is counting on me to return and bring wealth to them." Chen Chen knew that Xiao Wuyo was investigating his background, so he did not conceal anything from him. Xiao Wuyo nodded, then advised, "Don't tell anyone about being an innate spiritual body. If you get exposed, I'm afraid you will attract great divine masters to come forth and abduct you. If that happens, I won't be able to protect you." "I understand," Chen Chen replied right away. "Chen Chen, how do you feel about my thunder skill just now?" "Splendid. It was extremely destructive and cool. Do you wish to learn it?" "Of course I do." Chen Chen replied without the slightest bit of hesitation. "Then you should address yourself as an acquired thunder spiritual body from now and train the paramount skill of the Tianyun clan with me, the Tianyun Divine Thunder Formula." "Thank you, Master." Upon hearing Chen Chen call him Master, Xiao Wuyo was stunned for a moment, before flashing an understanding smile. This young man was one who knew how to ingratiate himself with authority. Chapter 49. Tianyun Clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 15 minutes later, Chen Chen descended steeply with his giant sword as he landed below the clouds. Several mountains immediately appeared within his sight. Sensing the intense ethereality in the surroundings, Chen Chen couldn't help but exclaim in amazement, "The immortal land of an immortal family is indeed different from ordinary mountains. The Tianyun Mountains cannot be considered immortal land. It's just a regular nice place," Xiao Wuyo said indifferently. He then darted off, flying towards the highest mountain below with his sword, and soon landed in front of a large hall. The hall of the Tianyun clan's leader. Staring at the large, fancy words on the plaque in front of the great hall, Chen Chen felt uncontrollably oppressed. This hall is usually empty. It's usually only open when there is a big event and the elders need to gather for a discussion. Xiao Wuyo explained while walking toward the hall. Chen Chen followed closely behind him as they both arrived in front of a statue. The statue was that of an old man who had an immortal style with light and fluttery clothes. All that he was lacking was an expert label. Looking at the statue, Xiao Wuyo bowed and said solemnly, "I, Xiao Wuyo, the leader of the 28th generation of the Tianyun clan, wishes to accept Chen Chen as the only personal disciple under the witness of you, ancestor. I hope to gain your approval." After he spoke, Xiao Wuyo waved his hand vigorously as several sandalwood incense sticks flew from the table to the incense burner automatically and began burning up. Hearing his words, Chen Chen looked at Xiao Wuyo in amazement. If he had heard correctly, Xiao Wuyo seemed to have mentioned making him his only personal disciple. However, the two of them had only known each other less than an hour. It seemed too much like a joke. He was flattered and surprised. Looking at Xiao Wuyo, who was standing in front of him and dressed in a white robe with a sense of vicissitudes between his brows, Chen Chen became certain that he was definitely a handsome man in his younger years. At this point, Chen Chen couldn't help but ask, "Master, do you trust me that much? With qualifications like yours, there is no way you could be a spy from a rival sect, as they won't bear to send you out." "That's all I need to know," Xiao Wuyo said rightfully. "Then what if I'm a crook?" Chen Chen was a bit puzzled. Since Xiao Wuyo wanted to take him in as a sole personal disciple, he ought to put his character to the test no matter what, shouldn't he? "You're a crook. Do I seem like a good guy?" Xiao Wuyo's words left Chen Chen speechless. However, he still felt that Xiao Wuyo really looked like a heroic warrior. Chen Chen reckoned that Xiao Wuyo must have been popular with the young ladies, just like himself. "Thank you for your trust, Master." After a moment of silence, Chen Chen bowed to Xiao Wuyo solemnly. No matter what, Chen Chen sincerely respected the person who was about to help him improve his skills, from the bottom of his heart. Xiao Wuyo nodded and continued, Chen Chen, I have never taken in a disciple or taught one before. Fortunately, your qualifications are excellent and you probably won't make the teaching process difficult for me. From now on, you will cultivate here on the main peak. You can approach me directly if you encounter any difficulties. If I'm not around, you can look for me using the communication token. As he spoke, Xiao Wuyo took out a token and handed it to Chen Chen. Chen Chen received the token with his face filled with astonishment. Xiao Wuyo was indeed not great at teaching. Based on the knowledge he got from watching TV dramas in his previous life, there ought to be at least 7 or 8 entry tests before one could become a disciple. How could a master not be at least a little compelling? If he could ask questions whenever he had any doubts, wouldn't that be the same treatment that others with connections to the clan were getting? Before Chen Chen could finish criticizing the teaching techniques in his head, Xiao Wuyo spoke again. You can also directly tell me what resources you need. I will make the arrangements for you. Chen Chen inhaled sharply. I can ask for any resources I need. I'm probably going to be completely reduced to a villain who abuses his authority. Master, aren't you afraid that I might sell the resources you give me for spirit stones? Chen Chen asked cautiously. After hearing Chen Chen's words, Xiao Wuyo let out a slight frown as a tinge of puzzlement appeared on his handsome face. He then asked, why would you sell the resources for spirit stones? If you are in need of spirit stones, you can just ask for some from me directly. Chen Chen was almost moved to tears. Only an outstanding young man like him who had lived through 2 lives could have such smooth sailing growth in such an environment. If any other person who lacked strong willpower had such a master, he would definitely begin bullying everyone in the clan within a few years. He was more like a father than a master. Master. Can I go and visit the other areas? Chen Chen asked again. Such was also what Xiao Wuyo was concerned about. Although he had previously said that Chen Chen could directly ask for what he needed, he couldn't go overboard and ask for things blindly without weighing the pros and cons. Besides, Xiao Wuyo may not have had some of the items that he might need. Yes, but you'd better not leave the Tianyun Mountains before you build your foundation. The 13th division of the Demon Clan suddenly lost many of their members in Jizhou. They will definitely send some people to investigate. You'll be in danger if you leave the Tianyun clan during this period of time. Being able to walk around the Tianyun Mountains is enough for me. Chen Chen exclaimed excitedly. The Tianyun Mountains were hundreds of kilometers in circumference. By the time he was done exploring the entire perimeter, his cultivation level would likely be on par with his master. Why would he need to be worried about the Demon Clan? Seeing Chen Chen's grin, a heartened smile graced Xiao Wuyo's face as he took out a small cloth bag and placed it into Chen Chen's hand. Disciple, don't show the ring that I gave you previously too often. Here's a cloth bag for you. There are some materials inside that would be enough for you to cultivate for a period of time. There is also a handwritten copy of the Tianyun Divine Thunder Technique, the secret scripture of our clan. Remember to burn it after reading it. I have to go to the recruitment ceremony for new disciples. Just explore and take a look around this place. Remember, this is your residence. After receiving the cloth storage bag that Xiao Wuyo handed him, Chen Chen looked towards the direction Xiao Wuyo pointed and saw a courtyard that spanned across an area of hundreds of square meters, a few hundred meters away from the main hall. The courtyard was surrounded by ethereality that had been lingering around for a long time. It was as if there was a special power that restricted the ethereality at all times. What a good place. Chen Chen was fascinated. This is like supreme luxurious VIP treatment. He then looked further into the storage bag, only to realize that apart from some secret books, there were hundreds of spirit stones, 7 or 8 bottles of various elixirs, a pair of soft armor that emanated a subtle elixir, and a white-colored token that was engraved with auspicious clouds. Thank you so much, Master. When Chen Chen saw the items in the bag, he felt a strong urge to drop to his knees and kneel down on the spot. At that moment, he felt parental love and affection from his master. Don't mention it. These things are nothing to me. Okay, I'm going to attend the welcome ceremony for the new disciples. After Xiao Wuyo finished speaking, he flew up into the sky as he headed towards a mountain peak in the distance. Rascal! Are you the illegitimate son of the leader of the Tianyun clan? At that moment, Wuxia finally had the guts to speak up, but her tone was full of jealousy. Chen Chen didn't bother to give her an answer. Instead, he took out the copy of the Tianyun Divine Thunder Technique from his storage bag. He then started flipping through it casually. I can read the characters, but I don't understand what the words mean when they're put together. After putting away the secret book, Chen Chen took out the soft armor again. He could sense that it was impressive, but he couldn't pinpoint which part exactly. However, since it was soft armor, it was most likely something that would protect his life. Hence, Chen Chen didn't think much about it as he put it on. Damn it! It's soft armor made from the hide of 1,000-year-old demon. Why did he give you such a precious item? Wuxia began hopping mad with jealousy, as she stomped her feet while lying in Chen Chen's arms. Chen Chen chuckled and picked up the token again. He then saw the words written on the token. Sacred son of the Tianyun clan. There were also some words on the back. Junior clan leader. Looking at the token, Chen Chen became filled with mixed emotions as he suddenly froze in place. Chapter 50. Breakthrough in half a day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. After a long period of silence, Chen Chen put away his token and began walking towards the courtyard. The ethereality in the courtyard was far denser compared to the area outside. Apart from a cultivation room, a bedroom, and other facilities, there was also a small medicinal herb field in the middle of the courtyard, which was piled with spirit soil. Wuxia, what's the cage next to the medicinal herb field for? Why does it look like the chicken coop I have at home? Chen Chen asked curiously, pointing at the cage at the side of the field. Staring at the sky, Wuxia answered casually, I don't know, it's probably for chickens. After hearing her words, Chen Chen gave her a quick glance, before tossing her into the cage without hesitation. Rascal! Why did you put me in this demon-trapping cage? Wuxia hollered furiously. The instant her claws touched the edge of the cage, she retracted them back, as if she had been electrocuted. Demon-trapping cage. Great item! Chen Chen exclaimed with a smile on his face. Now that he had such an item, he finally didn't have to carry Wuxia in his arms. It'd be a pity to kill this vixen, but if I don't kill her, I have to keep my guard up at all times. I'd better keep it caged. When I'm free, I can pull her out for a quick chat as well. System, is there anything precious within a 20-meter radius, other than this demon-trapping cage? Chen Chen asked the system in his mind. In order to gain a thorough understanding of his residence, it was the fastest to do so using the system. There is a spirit wood bed on the left, 16 meters ahead of you, a white jade prayer cushion on the left, 13 meters ahead of you, a spirit crystal, 12 meters underground, and a black metal elixir furnace on the right, 18 meters ahead from you. Host, you are wearing black crocodile inner armor. As Chen Chen listened to the system, he walked towards the room ahead of him. He was vaguely certain that the system would not be able to search and detect the things in the storage ring. There was dragon, taming wood in the storage ring, which was definitely much more valuable than the demon-trapping cage. As soon as he entered the room, the first thing that he saw was the white jade prayer cushion that was carved with strange patterns. There were streams of light rotating around. He could tell at a glance that it was a rare treasure. Chen Chen sat on it carefully and he immediately felt the surrounding ethereality converging towards him at a speed that was several times faster than usual. However, due to his lack of cultivation of techniques, there were no changes in the ethereality that entered his body. It simply started accumulating. I have to cultivate some technique. Chen muttered to himself before taking out the Tianyun Divine Thunder technique to study it carefully. Truth be told, he was under quite a lot of pressure right now. With the superb combination of the system in his body, such excellent cultivation conditions, and his stellar qualifications, it would only prove that he was too dull to understand the technique if his status of cultivation did not improve quickly. How could Chen accept such? Hence, he began studying the Tianyun Divine Thunder technique with serious focus, as if he was studying for college entrance exams in his previous life. Before he knew it, half a day had passed. It was proven that the profoundness of the Tianyun Divine Thunder technique was far less than that of math and chemistry. Realizing that it was noontime, Chen suddenly closed the secret book and took a deep breath. In the next second, the ethereality in his diaphragm began to flow rapidly. In an instant, it turned from a pool of stagnant water into 3 vortexes, forming a triangle, creating a powerful suction force. Under the effect of the suction force, all the ethereality within hundreds of square meters in the entire courtyard instantly entered Chen's diaphragm. It then slowly integrated into the 3 vortexes, making the suction force of the 3 vortexes even stronger. At this moment, Chen suddenly understood the true significance of cultivating immortality. The so-called cultivating immortality was in fact taking an ethereality from the world to make oneself stronger. If the process was compared to pouring water into a bucket, cultivation techniques would be a ladle used for scooping water into the bucket. Good technique would be akin to a large ladle while poor technique would be akin to a much smaller one. Techniques were the ladle and one's qualifications were the bucket. A person without good aptitude for cultivating immortality would be equivalent to a bucket full of holes that naturally could not be filled with water. If there were only a few holes and the speed of the water input was faster than the leakage, it would mean that one had some aptitude in cultivating immortality. A primeval spiritual body like Chen's could be compared to a large, impressive bucket that even had a pump attached to it to allow water to be pumped into the bucket, omitting the need for a ladle. Low qualifications cannot be compared to great qualifications. Chen sighed in his heart. It was the difference between incorporating into one's body as much ethereality as one sucks in, and losing 70% to 80% of the ethereality one takes in. The difference was huge. Unfortunately, Chen also had his troubles. For example, his innate spirit body would devour ethereality too quickly when combined with the advanced Tianyun Divine Thunder technique. In a short while, all the ethereality in the entire courtyard would be devoured. Although the spirit crystals underground were continuously emanating ethereality which was spreading upwards, the speed at which it was spreading was far slower than the speed of Chen's devouring. Thinking of this, Chen took out the spirit stones from his storage bag. He was now figuring out the technique without a master. Holding on to a low-grade spirit stone, he inhaled deeply. After about a minute, the stone had turned to ashes. All the ethereality in the spirit stone had converged and accumulated in the vortexes in his diaphragm. Seeing that he was getting stronger at a speed visible to the naked eye, Chen decided not to be stingy with the spirit stones as he took them all out of the bag. Bang bang bang. The spirit stones turned to ashes one by one. By the time Chen had devoured 100 spirit stones, the 3 vortexes in his body had grown much larger. Is this considered a breakthrough to the 4th tier of Qi training? Seems like cultivating immortality is becoming a piece of cake for me. At this rate, won't I have to switch identities with my master by the end of the year? Chen was shocked. He had only seriously cultivated for 1 afternoon and had already broken through from the 3rd tier to the 4th tier of Qi training. Unfortunately, there were not many spirit stones for him to suck. In order to continue, he had to go out with the system to find some treasures. At the same time, Wuxia had been standing quietly outside the courtyard for an hour. The moment he felt Chen's breakthrough in cultivation, he suddenly let out a long sigh. His innate spirit body is really terrifying. The Tianyun Divine Thunder technique is several times more difficult for achieving a breakthrough compared to ordinary techniques, but this disciple of mine managed to accomplish it so effortlessly. However, his consumption of spirit stones is also 100 times faster than a normal person. Forget it, it's just some spirit stones, he's the only disciple I'm accepting anyway. Xiao Wuyo shook his head gently, waved his sleeves, and turned around to leave. In the cultivation room in the courtyard, Chen Chen was still continuing to cultivate. However, a large pile of spirit stones suddenly landed at his front. When he looked carefully, he realized that there were at least 1,000. When he saw the spirit stones, Chen Chen looked outside. He knew that the spirit stones were from his master, but he couldn't help but wonder, what does master mean by this? Does he want to render the system useless? The system seemed to have felt the pressure of survival. A moment later, the system's voice sounded in Chen Chen's mind, "Host, the resources you consumed have reached a certain standard, hence, you are rewarded with 1x opportunity to track within the Tianyun Mountains."